Hello, everyone out there in the internet watching the New Hamburg Board of Trade podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm joined by the very talented co-host Gina Rattan. How are you doing today, Gina?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Excited to be back with another episode. Uh,
Yes, we've got a great guest today, Dr. Howard Dolman, who operates the Dolman Eye Center here in New Hamburg, and you've got some other locations as well, Howard.
Yes, we opened up a vision therapy clinic in Kitchener.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for taking some time this week and joining us on our, I don't know, monthly, semi-monthly podcast of New Hamburg Board of Trade members.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be part of this series.
Perfect. So sort of the first question here is just walk us through how you became an optometrist. What sort of drove you to pursue that profession?
Like most high school students, I really didn't know, what I was going to do or where it was going to lead me. But I had the benefit of having some great high school teachers who helped to sort of draw out what my interests might be and guide me into the area of science. And I knew that I had an interest in science and how things work with our body. And really one thing sort of led to another. And I found myself in Waterloo in optometry school.
Perfect. Is that one of the only optometry schools in the province?
It happens to be the only English-speaking optometry school in Canada.
Oh, wow.
There is one other optometry school, so you are correct, in Quebec,
Right.
for French language, and that's it for all of Canada.
I had no idea. That's pretty cool. It's in our own backyard here.
It is very cool, it draws attention, to our region because optometry is here, which is a great spinoff.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. If you're an English-speaking optometrist in Canada, you've been to Waterloo region.
I must say that because there are so many Canadians who are interested in optometry that might not get into the program because there are only 90 places available in Waterloo. There are a number of Canadians who go to U.S. schools and abroad
Right.
as well.
Of course, yes.
Of course.
Which makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So I know you went to school in Waterloo. What inspired you to come out to New Hamburg to set up a practice?
Great question, and it's a great story. I met my wife Kim in optometry school, and we decided that we were going to get married. But with Kim being 2 years sort of after my graduation, we thought we'd wait until she would finish school and get married after she would finish. But I had a heart-to-heart conversation with my grandfather the summer before when we got engaged, and he said, "Howard, what are you doing? If you're going to get married, get married." He expressed the desire to be at our wedding, and I thought, you know what? If Kim is good for it, then we'll get married. And so we married the summer leading into Kim's final year of optometry school, and I needed a place to work close by the optometry school. And someone said, well, give Dr. Betty Fretz a call because she has a clinic in New Hamburg, a clinic in Listowel, and she's always looking for associates. And sure enough, that's what led me to New Hamburg. And
That's a
getting
fabulous
married
story.
a year earlier.
No kidding. No kidding. Great excuse to stay in the area.
Yeah. And I should say that is 30 years ago this month that I started in New Hamburg.
Well, congratulations. We're excited you were able to stay here for 30 years.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Which also means that, yes, thank you. It's our 30th wedding anniversary this summer too. So.
Oh, wow.
Fabulous. Congratulations.
Easy to keep the dates lined up that way. And
For
when
sure.
did you open the vision clinic in Waterloo?
Well, that second clinic just opened a couple of years ago. It started a little bit before that within the main clinic in New Hamburg, just sort of as a way of testing that model and seeing if there's enough interest in that type of care. And there aren't enough at the optometry school. There's one down in Kitchener that specialize in rehabilitation for post-concussion patients, as well as helping children with vision and learning issues.
Yeah, that's so critical. After a concussion, I won't get into the science myself, but I know that your brain and your way that everything lines up can be quite traumatized, obviously. So what goes into some of the therapy of post-concussion recovery?
Well, you did actually touch on the core principle, which is that the brain controls everything. And it was a bit of an aha moment for me in my training. And I have to actually, pivot to Kim, because she really has become more, the doctor and therapist when it comes to this at the new clinic. But when you have an injury like that, it scrambles everything. It scrambles all the connections, including that to the eyes, and how we see ourselves in the world when we're walking, when we turn, when we move, when we grab something. That all gets scrambled. And so we all know of people who've had concussions and have really been forced to lay low for a long time because they can't function properly.
Yeah, in the dark room, no lights. Yeah, as you say, even turning your head to look another direction can cause you to get dizzy, right? Wow.
That's fascinating. So is the goal of the clinic to reduce the downtime after concussions?
Well, the goal really is to take those individuals who have had 3 months, 6 months to let the body heal, make sure that there's nothing else wrong that needs to be addressed medically, and then work on those systems that aren't functioning properly, so that people can get back to work, or get back to work to the level that they're capable of, or start driving again. So it's really those individuals who aren't yet functioning at where they used to.
Yeah, get them back into more of a regular life.
Yes.
That's fabulous.
And that makes it very, very rewarding.
Absolutely. And you said your wife is predominantly there right now?
She is. She spends, I guess, a day and a half assessing patients and doing follow-up care. And then there are 2, soon to be 3 vision therapists who actually spend the hour sessions with patients weekly. And then Kim spends a day and a half, in the New Hamburg clinic as well.
That's awesome.
Or 2.5 days in New Hamburg, 1.5 in Kitchener. So it's a busy schedule for her.
Yeah.
No kidding.
That would be rewarding. Obviously, you see the progress that the patients make, maybe more so than just adjusting a prescription on somebody's glasses, right? So that's got to be really, really thrilling for you guys to see that.
The glasses is a small but important part of it. So the glasses is an important piece, but the glasses works with the visual system, where vision therapy is actually working on the visual system.
Yeah, it's more looking under the hood, maybe.
That's a perfect analogy.
So I guess that segues into our next couple of questions quite well. What are the benefits of having your regular eye checkup, and why should you continue to go into adulthood?
And thank you for asking that. Most of us, especially those who see well, you get through your school years, your high school, maybe post-secondary, and you see well, and you think, okay, life's good. I'm seeing well. I have no issues with my eyes and vision, and the issues with reading vision that come much later in life, we'll deal with it when we get there. But what many don't realize is that there's a lot that has to take place, both from a health standpoint and from a functioning standpoint, for you to see well, for your eyes to function, so that you can go through your day and not think about your eyes. And so much like, you would drive a new car for so many kilometers and then think, okay, yeah, I really should change the oil or look under the hood. And there's your analogy. It's important to look in the eyes and make sure everything is healthy and that the visual system is working properly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's like any other body system. You can't ignore it.
Right. And even more so for the eyes. There are a number of important organs in our body and functions that fortunately science has learned how to replace. But the eyes are one that can't be replaced. We can replace certain parts of the eye that are tremendously helpful later in life, but the eye itself can't be replaced.
No, it's one of the most complex electronical signals. That's not a word. Electronic signals. Electrical and electronic signals going through the nervous system.
Yes.
So
yes, there are more than 130 million individual receptor cells in each eye.
Yeah.
And 1 million fibers connecting the eye to the brain. 1 million fibers. So
and I'm sure you can name each one.
Well, thankfully, I know what they do.
Yeah. They don't all have their own individual names. And that's just, the size of cells is always something that is remarkable to me, because if you try and think of 1 million of something, it's impossible to visualize that, and it's in the size of your eye. So very, very complex.
Well, and the thing is, you could lose 500,000 of them and not even know, which is the scary part.
Wow.
At least in our vehicle, we have gauges on the dashboard, which some of us learn to ignore anyway. But there are no gauges on our forehead that say, check the oil level. So I often use the analogy that, your eye exam is really, some of the gauges that are important in making sure we function properly.
Yeah. What impact does screen time have on our vision? And working from home, probably a lot of people are watching more screens, whether it's at work, being on a Zoom call versus an in-person meeting, or you're just nothing really to do, watching a lot of TV. How does that impact your eye health?
And this has been studied extensively, even before the pandemic, and new research is coming out, over the past year since the pandemic started. So there are two things that I'd like to touch on. The first is, we know that when we're looking at screens, we don't blink as often as we normally do. We stare, and the surface of the eye is susceptible to irritation, and ultimately, just like our skin, that needs to be hydrated, it can break down and become damaged. And so when we spend hours on the computer, some, they know by the end of the day, whether they're gaming or on Zoom, their eyes look more red. And that redness is a sign that the eyes are irritated. But the redness can go beyond that and become, burning or stinging or even excessive tearing. And so I'll often tell my patients to put the word blink on a Post-it and put it on their monitor just as a reminder to blink properly.
Yep.
And you don't have to squeeze. You just blink normally and make sure that you're blinking as often as you normally do.
Now that we're talking about it, I think I'm blinking a lot.
Yep, same with me. Just that reminder,
Yeah. Yes. And the second thing that we've learned is that for children, spending time on screens is one of the contributing factors to nearsightedness. Due reasons, they're spending many, many, many more hours just looking at something within inches of their face, and not spending appropriate amount of time outdoors. And research has shown that children in their development ages, really up until your mid to late teens, should be spending a couple hours outside every day for visual development.
I know you always think about it in terms of, activity and exercise and is good for the body, but interesting that it's also good for your eyes.
It is. And that's why I love the window behind Richard, because, he could just spin around and just, look way out off down the street.
Yes.
And let his vision kind of relax from the screen and go further. So we often say there's the 20-20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes, look at least 20 feet away for 20 seconds, taking little micro breaks more often.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one before. I've heard that you should take periodic breaks, but I didn't know that you're supposed to actually look beyond, just the corners of your home office or beyond the kitchen. So that's great. Yeah, I'll often look out through downtown at traffic or who knows what in deep thought. And now I know.
It's good for your eyes.
Yeah, now I know.
It's good for your eyes. Now you know.
You have an excuse to do it more often now, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
You could say it's eye doctor prescribed.
Thanks.
And I guess along with screen time, a lot of people talk about the blue light. And I guess what's the impact of blue light? And, is it worth people going out and getting the blue light glasses that everyone's talking so much about right now?
Yes, and another great question that's asked often, especially now, in times where we're on screens many more hours than before. And so going back to what blue light is, in research, we refer to it as high energy visible light, or HEV. And so if you think of a rainbow and how the sunlight that we see and the white bright light that we see is divided into a spectrum of colors. So red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet. And it's the blue, indigo, violet end of the spectrum that we're referring to. And we already know that beyond violet is ultraviolet. And there are certain degrees of ultraviolet. And we already understand and appreciate that we have to protect our eyes and our skin from ultraviolet light. Well, research has shown us that high energy visible light can have an impact on our sleep quality, especially if we're exposed to that light in the last hour or two before bedtime. And many of us are up, many hours into the evening on screens. And then what do we do when we get off our device, our laptop or monitor? We lie in bed and we stare at our phone for another 20 minutes or half an hour. And so it's very important to understand that we should wean off that last bit of screen time, especially in the last hour, and go old school, go back to, a book, listen to music, wind down to a podcast. Even television isn't as bad as having devices that are just inches from our face.
Yeah, definitely guilty of that.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to read more book or a magazine in bed. I have not got an e-reader, but I think that's different than the phone. That's not light at all, right?
That is true, and an e-reader is different in the way it presents the reading material, different than affecting light.
Yeah, so that would be okay too then, I think.
Mm-hmm. But good to take time away from, our close focus in those last, minutes before bed.
Yeah. Aren't you supposed to talk or something like that before bed? Maybe a rundown of the day with your partner.
Yeah. And to talk about the things that you're grateful for. So you enter into your evening thinking about positive things.
That's going to line you up for some great dreams.
Mm-hmm. But going back to, what about, Blue Protect, blue glasses, blue blocker glasses. Unfortunately, the industry hasn't standardized itself yet. And this is true with sunglasses as well. There are no standards for sunglass protection or for blue light protection. So it's a bit of a wild west out there. You can buy anything anywhere. And it comes down to a little bit of trust. You have to think, okay, am I going to trust my eyes with what I'm purchasing, whether it's sunglasses or blue light protection?
Yeah, those $5 sunglasses. They've got the 100% UAVB protection. Is that really working for you?
Well, and the truth there is they have studied, these $5 sunglasses or low quality dollar store, wherever sunglasses, and they found that it's true. You can put UV protection in cheap, inexpensive plastic. So you can get the UV protection out of inexpensive sunglasses. The issue there is the quality of the plastic. Make sure that you look one eye at a time through each lens, because the plastic optically may be very poor. You may get UV protection, but it may distort or blur your vision.
Right.
And so that's where you have to be careful, in purchasing sunglasses, the UV protection side and the quality side.
So that would strain your vision, especially if you had sort of competing lens quality. If there was one, even scratches, if one was scratched up or had a defect in it, and one eye is going to strain more than the other.
Sure, scratches and distortions. It's amazing. When we had the old projectors, we projected the chart on the wall. I used to put sunglasses in front of the projector and compare, sort of more mid-level and higher quality sunglasses to just the purchase here, wherever. And it was astounding how poor the chart became when the light went through the inexpensive plastic versus an optical quality lens.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So it can give you a headache.
Yeah.
It's not going to damage your eyes, but it certainly can give you a headache.
I've always just had a hard time keeping track of sunglasses anyway.
Yep.
So.
And I think I'm guilty of keeping some a little bit past where the scratches are all over them. So.
Yeah.
It's a good excuse to go back out shopping, I think, or online shopping right now.
Yeah. What's your website, Howard?
Yes. We do have a new web store that you can access, but it's both contact lenses and products, right?
I might get you just to repeat that. You're cutting out just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yes. We have a web store now, but it's mostly dry eye products and contact lenses.
Oh, great. So we can send some people there if they need to grab more contact lenses or solutions and stuff like that.
Yes.
Awesome.
And it's with the same pricing as within our clinic.
Awesome. We can maybe put that in the notes on our page when we post the video. Yeah.
So you've lived here or at least had a business in New Hamburg for 30 years. What do you like so much about our little community here, or Wilmot in general?
Yes, it's definitely the high level of engagement. There's no question. I mean, this is really, another example of that high level of engagement. And we learned that very early on. One of the first initiatives we took part in was raising funds for bringing a splash pad to Wilmot, and then bringing the rec complex to Wilmot, and participating in the Canada Day celebrations, and in the Santa Claus parade, and in the downtown core activities. So it's something Kim and I really treasure a lot, is that very high level of engagement and belonging that exists in our community.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely feel blessed that we have, businesses that continue to support all of those important community initiatives as well. So thank you to Dolman's for being that supporting business in our community.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure. And we feel that sense of community every single day, not just in the patients who live, within the community, but many of those who move out of the community and continue to come back and support the community. It's really remarkable and very much appreciated.
Yeah, lots of events going on in New Hamburg, and we look forward to when we can start doing those all again. But sooner than later, I hope, of course. Yeah.
And I guess our last question, just to wrap up, Speaking of activities, what do you like to do in your spare time? Maybe, not now when we're in lockdown, but in normal times.
Yeah. Well, music has always been a passion, and it's something that we, shared amongst our family. And so, listening to music, to be able to get back to seeing music again will be wonderful. I played hockey as most or a lot do, through my childhood and young adult life. And, so playing pickup hockey was enjoyable. But professional involvement is certainly a big one for me. I do want to give a shout out to my dad, a pharmacist who practiced pharmacy for 50 years. That's as a leader in pharmacy. And so I'm very much involved nationally in the profession of optometry. And as well as locally, teaching a course at the optometry school to third-year students. And then finally, our family. We have 4 children who aren't children anymore. They're young adults seeing their way through university and their own start of their lives. And so that's a big part for Kim and I in our life.
Absolutely, that would keep you busy.
Yeah,
100%.
Are they all at home then, or are they living in their respective cities that they've got schools in?
Yes, it's a mishmash, as you can well imagine. Our middle daughter is at Western in her second year, but even when she's in London, she's isolating at home. So she'll often come home to recharge the batteries and then go back.
Yeah.
So she has a job working in one of the hospitals in London this summer.
Oh, fabulous! Sounds like she might be following in your footsteps a little bit into healthcare. Anyway.
Yeah. She hopes to.
Wonderful. Well, if you got another 20 years to go, I guess, before you can hang up I forget what the term is, the technical term to the
yeah.
Can you see this now?
Yeah.
Can you see that now? Yeah. So, well, thanks again so much, Howard, for joining us today. Everybody, if you do need contacts, check out the Dolman Clinic online, and maybe as the summer months come, I might be checking back and see if there's some sunglasses on there that I'll have to put in a case and never use, other than in maybe certain circumstances that I'm not going to lose them, because I'm rough on those sorts of things. But I didn't know that I should be taking better care of my eyes, and that's such an important thing because you only got 2 of them. So
yeah.
Thanks for enlightening me.
You're welcome. And every 2 or 3 years, when you're healthy, when you're seeing well, just every 40 to 60,000 kilometers.
There you go.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. It was lovely to get to know Dolman a little bit more, as well as a little bit more about you.
Thank you. And we're having a sunglass sale this month, so it's your opportunity to get some good quality sunglasses.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Gina.
Thanks again, everybody.